This is the Wild and Fearless podcast. Join Bec Fox, renowned business leader, coach, and avid adventurer, and go inside the hearts and minds of ordinary women doing extraordinary things. Wild and Fearless, women inspiring legendary dreams.
Hi, and welcome back to another Wild and Fearless podcast and show. We have got an amazing guest this morning, Helen Zahos. She is an extraordinary nurse, and she goes out wherever there's disaster. You'll find her in there with her gloves on and her nursing robe on, and into the thick of things. Helen, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And you're a dynamo. Like, I was explaining to all the crew here today that you're one person that I met a couple of years ago now, and you just have this extraordinary energy and the most incredible heart, and you're always giving and looking out of how to serve people, and especially people who are in a disaster or have had some sort of trauma in their lives. You're out there saying, I will volunteer, I'll be at the front line and help out. So tell us more about you, and tell all the viewers about all those incredible adventures you've had and experiences you've had through doing exactly that, just saying yes and working out how.
And volunteering. Well, I think for me, my background story is a little bit different to what most people would expect. I grew up on a remote island, Groote Island, up in the Gulf of Carpentaria. So Indigenous communities up there, but I'm Greek background, so Greek heritage. Dad was working on the mine there. So I think when you're growing up on a small island, naturally you become very tight-knit as a community and you keep an eye out for each other. So from a very young age, it was instilled in me that you have to help out in the community, help each other out. Otherwise, you don't survive out in a remote area.
Absolutely. But
so, we're going through cyclones, we're going through all sorts of stuff. And so that sense of community was really strong.
Yep.
And I think as you get older, that carries on. Like it came through with me. Decided to become a nurse and a paramedic, and that just naturally took on from there. But I think anything that's going on in the community, I try and get involved and help out as much as I can. So
exactly. And you've been a nurse now for probably several decades, haven't you?
About 23 years now,
yeah,
24.
Just
I think 99 I graduated as a nurse and a paramedic. So,
and you still love it. You're now working for an agency where you can get to help out a number of different hospitals, private, public.
Nice. I was
emergency.
Working at Gold Coast Uni Hospital in the public sector, transferred over towards the end of COVID, just to the private sector, just to have a bit of a break from the pressures and the pressure cooker that COVID was here in Queensland.
Yep.
Just trying to protect myself a little bit, a bit of self-care. And agency. So the great thing about nursing in an agency is you get a text message every day saying, this hospital needs, has a gap and needs a nurse to come along. So, I don't necessarily go to the same place every day, so it's nice.
A lot of variety for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Well, nursing's taken you to some extraordinary environments, but also some great heights in your career. So let me just share a few for the viewers who don't know you. You've been a TED Talk guest.
I have, yeah.
How was that?
I didn't really know much about TEDx talks at all, or TED Talks, and when the invitation came, I was a little bit surprised, I think. I think when you're out there doing whatever it is that you're doing, other people think you might be a little bit extraordinary, but you're just, I don't know, I see myself as quite ordinary, I don't think I do anything special. So when I received the email, I was a little bit... not shocked. I was like, why would they want me up on stage to talk to people? I don't get it.
It's like we see it but you don't see it yourself. Exactly.
No. And I think the messages there they wanted me to share was to encourage people out in the community or inspire them to go out and volunteer in their own communities. I think at that time I'd just come back from the refugee crisis. I've done some work in Iraq before. Disasters like Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines and the Nepal earthquake. So I think, when some of the people had heard some of the stories that I shared through the media at the time, they were really inspired and wanted me to share that with, people on the TED platform.
It is so inspiring. And for those who haven't listened or seen you on the TEDx talk, what's the link there they can look up?
I think if you just Google my name, it's the easiest.
Yeah.
There is a link through TED that you can look at the talk up. But and I also have it on my website, but I'll cover that later.
A bit later.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a bit more about how did you get onto volunteering into those disaster zones? God, that's incredible,
Yeah, I think my nursing and paramedics was a good standing, like a good platform to start. I don't know. I think it just evolved naturally. I didn't go out there seeking it. It kind of fell in my lap. If it came to me, that door kind of... It's so funny. A lot of the stuff I've been involved with and achieved, even from being invited to go to the UN Commission on the Status of Women and ending up in Geneva at the World Health Assembly, you know, at a side event there speaking on health issues. All of that's just come to me. And so like the disasters, I remember Christchurch happening and thinking I want to get involved. But by that stage, I'd already, back in 2002, when the Bali bombings happened, I was involved in that up in Darwin. And so once you experience that and a disaster so great, similar to what we've got going on now in the floods or post-floods here, you realise... The rain, all of that, and it's so devastating to see that kind of devastation and at a human cost as well. And you think, well, if I've got some skills and I can share that and help out, I'll do it. You know, if I'm in need,
absolutely,
I'll get up and go. So I don't know, it just came naturally. And then once you're in that environment, people reach out to you. It's just even through Facebook, I've had messages come up and go, right, we've got a team going to Nepal. We need you on it. Are you available? So a lot of that's been just organic. Like it's just,
And do you find yourself working with the same sort of medical team? Is you all gather and band up together and fly out, or you organise through an organisation like Red Cross? How does it actually evolve?
Yeah, look...
For those who are sitting back at home going, wow, I'd love to do something like that. I've got the skills, love to reach out
you're
and
not
help.
just picking up a backpack and going, hey, I'm going to go into that disaster.
Yes,
you want to be part of an organised team, and that's for your own safety, especially when you're going into other countries. You know, we touched on just then whether I'd be going to the Ukraine at the moment, it's too volatile and too dangerous. I have been, you know, spoken to a few people that are interested in me joining them over there, but if you can't guarantee your volunteers' safety or your own safety as part of that team, it's too dangerous. So, you know, maybe in another country helping refugees, similar to what I did in the refugee crisis. So I didn't fly to Syria to help in Syria. I met the refugees in the Greek islands. So I was on the Greek islands. We were receiving back in 2015 it was, on the Greek islands. We were receiving about 5,000 refugees a day. They're very similar to the scenes that we're seeing now. And so I thought to myself, being Greek background, what do you do? And how can I help? A country, Greece is already suffering financially through a financial crisis. I've got the skills. I'll go and help the Greek nurses, the Greek hospital system, and help these refugees that are coming across. So, you know, you don't have to go right into where the war zone's happening.
And the same's going to happen with Ukraine, with refugee movement around the world, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's getting out there and helping. So how do you reach out if you're at home and you're a lawyer, doctor, any sort of profession and you know you can help?
Yeah.
How do you get out there and...
Listen, you don't have to go to Iraq like I did or to, you know, into the thick of things and that hands-on to go overseas. You just have to look in your own backyard. Like the other day, helping out in the Mud Army here in Queensland, you know, getting out there and helping. I love going to Bunnings and seeing those guys out there with the sausage sizzles every time. There's always different organisations, and I feel so proud for them, and I'm always happy to go and buy that sausage sizzle because, you know, because you just think I'm supporting an organisation, and that's their blood, sweat and tears. They're sitting there, they've taken that time out of their weekend to come and help that whatever organisation they're supporting.
Volunteering. There's so much to be said, and it's understated really. So many people don't volunteer. And I think you're one person who can really share the benefits of volunteering. It's incredible, isn't it?
I feel like a bit of a fraud because I actually get more enjoyment, or I feel there's more fulfilment by giving than actually receiving, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
I don't know. There's something that I gain every time I walk away. I think, I've done good there.
Because look at how many experiences you've had and how many people... I know in your TED Talk, and I've heard you speak it, you're a wonderful keynote speaker. For those who are interested, we'll tap you into Helen's website later on.
Yeah.
But you do talk about the human heart and how much that relationship, making someone smile and stepping in their shoes for that one moment. It could be 5 minutes, could be for a day, could be for weeks, but how much of an interaction the human connection has and how much it can change someone's life.
I think that's right. And going back to what you were saying, you know, there could be doctors, lawyers, whoever out there. What do you say to those people to go and volunteer? And that is, you don't have to have skills. You don't have to have skills to go and volunteer. You don't have to be the nurse that went to uni and trained. And what I mean by that is, and I touch in my TED Talk, is you can hand out a blanket to someone that's cold.
Yes.
Give someone some water. You know,
Give someone a hug who's lost their mum or their
Yeah.
family.
all of that. So bringing it back to humanity and basic needs for human beings, really.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You're talking about fulfilment and the sense of fulfilment through volunteering. Just talk us through that and how you feel and what you gain from volunteering, because giving is such a beautiful gift, and we do receive so much when we do give. But talk to me about what it means to you. Or can you think of one example? There must be hundreds.
There's so many examples. I can't even think. But, you know, when you talk about fulfilment, I think, I don't know, it's a really hard question. It's hard because, and it's not because it's a personal thing. I just honestly, each scenario is so different.
It obviously makes you get up. Get up in the morning. Like, we all get up and go to work, but you get up with a complete passion and an eagerness. And how can I serve today? That's Helen all over.
How can I serve? And it doesn't mean I necessarily have to get up on a plane and go. It's now, how can I support the organisations that might be already there, or whether that's in the local Greek community here on the Gold Coast or in Brisbane that I'm heavily involved with as well. So, you know, I don't know, it's just being a part of something bigger than just you. It's just about giving, I suppose.
So what is about nursing? Talk to us about nursing and how extraordinary nursing is as a career, because it's taken you...
Yeah.
I mean, most people would think nursing is very much regimented in a hospital, and nurses are amazing. A big shout out to all nurses out there. Just incredible.
It took a pandemic for everyone to realise, right?
Well, it should have been well and truly recognised before that, but it certainly did. But unbelievable people.
Look, nursing for me, I fell into nursing. I got into nursing, why? Because I didn't get into anything else at uni. And I didn't really get into nursing either. I struggled with my marks, so I pretty much had to write a letter and beg for the uni to let me in.
That's great.
I was actually told by this is part of my TED talk, is that I was told to quit and that I'd never make it as a nurse or a paramedic.
Oh,
so I think when you're told by people to not do something, it actually... I don't know, it drives me to go even further and even better. Yeah. So when someone's trying to pull me back, I'm like, don't you dare.
I'll prove you wrong.
I'll prove you very wrong.
But you're driven, right? Yeah. You knew from a very young age, and from your childhood experiences, from your own personality and your innate sense of wanting to give, that you're going to be somehow serving as a nurse or in some scope.
And my mother even said it. My mum said, Helen, I always knew you'd be wearing some sort of uniform or doing something to be helping people. Because even when I was a kid, I was wrapping the cat up in bandages. And,
exactly.
I was always out there in the neighbourhood, always helping out. Yeah. But nursing as a career, I get so many young people reaching out on social media. What a great... look, I've worked out in some of the remotest areas of Australia in one nurse postings, which don't kind of exist now, but very remote. And I don't know, I feel very privileged to have been experienced. You just can't put money on some of the experiences that I've had out there. Yeah. You know, you're not just the nurse, you're the vet as well. Yes. There's something about all this training.
I've heard that,
I'm sitting at uni and... you know, out in this remote, like I finished uni, I've gone out to this remote community and I'm thinking, you know, talking to myself, going, Helen, you can do this, you've got it, you know, you're good enough to be out here. You don't need the support, because people always pull you back along the way and say, you're not good enough.
And you feel it too.
You take all of that on board. Yep. So you're already a bit nervous about being out there, and then you think, what's the worst case scenario? There'll be 10 people in a rollover.
Yep.
So I've played that scenario out in my head, and then that day arrives where that big red ball of dust is coming towards the clinic. You know someone's driving fast.
Yes.
And something serious has happened. And that car pulls up and your heart sinks and you think, oh no.
Here we go.
Like, here we go. And then this big burly Aboriginal guy with his cowboy hat comes out and he's like, sister, I need you to come quickly. We've got a horse wrapped in barbed wire.
Oh, that's
I'm
classic.
like, okay. And they're like, yeah, you've got to come and sedate it. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm the nurse. I'm like, yeah, you've got to come and sedate this horse. And I'm like, so suddenly I'm the vet.
Yeah,
about
classic.
2 or 3 years in of being out in this remote area in the desert.
You're the vet, you're the doctor, you're everything.
I'd have
the social worker,
all of that.
the counsellor.
But I'd see these dogs hobble past and kind of hop a bit funny, and I'd be like, yeah, I bandaged that.
Yeah.
I bandaged that dog once upon a time. That was my doing. Yeah. So, you know, but that's just within Australia. You can, you know, travelling around the world. It's just something that is transferable skills that you can take with you. And, yeah, no, it's just, I never thought nursing would take me to some of the places that I've been to.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine you putting up the world map and just putting little pins, and they'll be scattered everywhere, the places you've been.
It's
and
true. Yeah.
Imagine how many people you've touched, you've actually helped and...
You don't realise it, and then you get
Thousands.
these random messages again because, Google now, you can just Google someone and you can find a way to reach out.
Yeah.
And just some of the messages, I received a message once. I've done some work on Christmas Island, Nauru, and I received a message on Messenger, and this young boy had messaged me saying, I can't remember the exact wording now, but it was along the lines of, you don't remember me, but I'll never forget you.
Oh, how beautiful.
Your shiny smile and your happy face stopped me from killing myself one day.
Wow.
And I'm just racking my brain thinking, who was
Who
this
was
kid?
that?
And I think, I remember he was a bit down, there was stuff going on, and I just took some time out to have a chat to this guy. You wouldn't think that something so small just to,
Can change someone's life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that a smile.
Taking that time.
A smile and taking the time to make someone feel like a human being can change. So, yeah.
You never know your impact, do you, and the power of
Exactly.
love and expression and giving. Yeah, it's great. You touched a moment ago about how people can put you down and try to hold you back.
Yeah.
And I'll say try to hold you back in your case. And I think a lot of people are victims of that, if you like. They listen to other people's opinions about their possibilities and opportunities. Let's talk more about that, because it certainly hasn't held you back. If anything, it's been like a red flag to for you to be challenged even more.
Yeah,
to
this
aspire
isn't a cape I wear, it's a red
Yes,
flag.
exactly.
Look, I think growing up as a Greek Australian, so very much first generation, and for any women or men that are listening that are first generation will understand, is that a lot of their parents take that culture from the country that they've come from into wherever they've moved to. Yep. And so already I was suppressed as a woman. The only goal, and not to say my parents were like this, but the community I was in, the only goal for women by the age of 16 or 17 was to find a partner, breed, and that was it. There was no expectations to go to uni. So already I was pushing the glass ceiling, as I say, pushing the boundaries. I was the one, and I have chats now of young women that reach out to me going, Helen, I wouldn't have been able to, as a Greek Australian woman, would not have been able to go out there and become a paramedic had you not have
been the role model and championed the way.
All of that.
That's quite extraordinary. So
and so was mum and dad supportive? Look, they were. They were not as... Were they supportive? I think by the time I reached the age where I was like, Mum, I'm off to Iraq on the weekend, and she's like, yeah, right.
All right.
Helen,
Take care.
Can you not just pick a country that's safe, or there isn't a war or a coup or something going on and you have to go? But that took a lot of years of conditioning my mother, conditioning her because of her fears. She is such a fearful little anxious. She'll hate it if she's listening to this. Yeah. But it was her fears.
But she'll recognise it too.
She will. Well, will she? I don't know. But it's her fears that's always stopped me from doing stuff.
Yeah.
Mum, I'm going to Geneva. I'm going to get up on stage and speak about.
Fantastic?
And she would go, but you can't. Why do they want you there, Helen?
Yeah.
She can't because it's her fear. She's like, why would you want to get up there?
Yeah.
Why would you jump out of a plane? Why are you going to Kilimanjaro? She couldn't understand.
There's hills around here.
No, but she was like, why would you go to Africa now and climb Kilimanjaro and you're on your own? You don't even have friends to go with. And I'm like, well, if you wait around, Mum, for your roster to work out and for friends to come along...
It will never happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think I'm very left field from what my family and probably the Greek community are used to. I have gone out, I've climbed, I've been to Everest Base Camp, loved it. If you want to lose weight, there's a place to go. There's a track to do.
Train to climb any mountain.
Listen, carried my own pack as well. Never forget that. And I remind myself in little ways. Even the jewellery that I wear, I bought a ring that reminds me of the achievement of climbing Kilimanjaro. Yeah. It took one guy to tell me, Helen, you won't make it up that mountain. You're too fat and you're too unfit. It's not going to happen.
Wow.
And so he had an attempt a few years ago and got halfway up. He was very fit.
Altitude
always
sickness.
Yes. Rushed it because he was in a race of his own and got altitude sickness, didn't make it up the mountain. Mm-hmm. When he came back and he said, I didn't make it, I thought, if he didn't make it, there's no way I can do it.
That's what you told yourself, yeah.
So Then a few years later, I thought again, like it kept coming back. Really want to go and climb Kili.
Had the dream.
That's really distracting.
I know. Just so you know, those who are not seeing the video on YouTube, we just had quite a good-looking guy walk past us in his swimmers.
What was I talking about?
It's like, hello, she's flustered. She's fanning herself. She's Greek all the way. Yep. Hot-blooded Greek
I'm actually
woman.
Blushing. So yeah, no, look, he came back from Kili, didn't make it, and that was it. So I think my message there is
Get up and do it.
Get up and do it. Don't let
Yeah.
other people's fears,
Yep.
other people's negative messages,
And
other people trying to
opinions.
pull you back.
Yeah.
You're allowing them to set your boundaries. So I know I let that guy do that. I let him.
For a couple of years, right?
For a few years, and then I went, no, this doesn't sit right with me. I'm not going to know until I actually go and do it myself
Yeah.
and give it a go. If I get halfway up and I don't make it, at least I knew I gave it a go.
Gave it a go, exactly.
Right? And I've done that since, well, obviously with the mountain, I made it up there
Yeah.
on my first go.
How
And there's
fantastic.
There's a photo of me with my hands up in front of the sign on the
It's so
summit of
good.
Kilimanjaro. And,
So good. Here I am.
Yeah, it was my profile picture on Facebook for like 10 years. I was like
Yeah,
making sure he saw that.
absolutely. Yeah.
It's just going to rub it in. But,
so
all those
wonderful.
experiences,
Yeah.
the fears of other people's fears. So the day I jumped out of a plane when I was younger,
Yeah.
I said, Mum, can you take me to the basketball court? Blah, blah, blah. I told her a bit of a white lie and ended up going and doing a
classic.
tandem jump out of a plane. And when I came back, I presented her with a video. Because if I had have told her beforehand,
Should have encapsulated with lots of fear and negativity around it.
yeah, you don't have to be that extreme, okay? But I'm just saying,
Yes,
if
you
there's
do.
anything that's
Yeah.
out there and you think, yeah, I want to give that a go,
Give it a red hot.
and
crack.
if you have fears, tackle them. Like growing up on Groot and in the territory, crocodiles, sharks, you just wouldn't get in the water.
Yep.
I took on scuba diving to try and not overcome that, but I was like, what is it that I'm actually scared of? I want to go under there and investigate
And see what's under the
see
water.
what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And be in awe of it
know.
instead of fear of it.
yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible.
No.
You are amazing. You are a very, very wild and fearless woman.
I don't feel
I know
like
you
I've
don't feel
said
like it.
anything.
I know. Everyone who sits in this chair, don't they, guys? They say, we don't feel like it. It's like, I know, but you
No.
are. You're quite extraordinary.
Oh, thank you.
And that's what we love about these podcasts. It's like getting ordinary women talking about their beliefs, their mindsets, and also their
All of
achievements.
that.
It's to inspire many other people out there.
Well, I just
young
want to
women.
say to any young women, or
anyone
don't have to
who's
be young,
listening.
but any woman out there, like I've had
Exactly.
journalists come to my house to film documentaries and they've come in and they're like, looked around and they're like, you're like really ordinary. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
The towels are on the floor, mate. Didn't make the bed this morning. I don't know what it is that you're expecting in this house.
Exactly. What are people expecting?
I don't know. I think because...
Super funny, isn't it?
But you just don't know. Don't let those messages, don't let
Yeah.
people pull you back or
Yeah,
stop you.
absolutely.
Get out there and just give it a go. And when I'm up on stage, I tell people, I can do it. And if you can tell yourself that, hopefully it rubs off,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're also extraordinary. It's also about getting people around you who do support you, right? So
Yes.
it's hard to do it on your own. You certainly can. There's no doubt about it. You can do anything on your own. If you've got the will and the determination, you can do anything. Nothing's
Yeah.
going to stop you. But isn't it lovely when you surround yourself with people who inspire you and support you and encourage you and are in adoration of you, if you like, but also
Yeah.
are mentoring you the way as well?
Oh, you're like the classic example of that.
Thank you.
No, but even when we first met
Yeah.
all those years ago, I think it's so important. Wood touched on the TED Talk before. I intentionally didn't. I invited my mum to come to the TED Talk, but how nerve-wracking! I was in front of a few hundred people. It's being recorded. This is now going to be on the internet. Every little mistake's there for life.
Yep.
Because my mum is such a nervous, she was a nervous wreck for me. So she wasn't actually calming me down at all. And on the day, I just went, you know what, there's about 10 people lined up wanting to come.
Yeah.
I'm taking your ticket away and I'm giving it to someone else who is going to be my cheer squad, who's someone who's going to come in that even if I fail, even if I stuff up, if I make mistakes on the day, they're going to pick me up. Here's a drink. We'll be right.
You rock. That
you're
was amazing.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter that you stuffed up.
You made it. You did
exactly.
it.
Just
Exactly.
to support you.
Yeah.
No, I think stop worrying about what other people think
Yeah,
is a big
absolutely.
one. Because when you're worrying about, whoever, whether you're standing up in front of a crowd doing it, whether you're speaking in the media, whatever you just need to...
Believe in yourself.
Believe in
and
yourself.
push away all that noise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I do it. Honestly, I think coming from a remote area, if you saw where I came from, it's just such a tiny place.
Oh,
in the
it is a
middle of
tiny
nowhere.
little speckle. Just for those who don't know where it is, it's a very northern tip of Australia.
Yeah, it's in the Gulf of Carpentaria.
Right there in the middle of the ocean.
And I think I want to inspire as well, whether there's people out in those remote areas, don't let the geography define where, you know, what you're capable of. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, but I grew up out here, so I don't have those...
access, opportunity, everything else, yeah.
It can happen now, especially with social media and with internet and stuff. It's all accessible.
Absolutely.
So the possibilities are endless, really.
Yep. It's wherever your mind takes you is what you can do,
Yeah.
and beyond that, because often, and you've experienced this, one door will open up another door and another door. So
look, I hope this story doesn't drag on, but I get a pass to go to the UN Commission on the Status of Women in New York City.
Which is absolutely amazing. I remember
Blown away.
that time.
I was like, is this actually happening? I was only talking about it. You know, when someone said, what's on your list of 5 things you want to achieve?
Yeah.
So I'm over in New York, and in Darwin, in a newspaper, they've got this photo of me with my stethoscope on.
Yes,
and
I know the one.
NT nurse.
Yes.
You know, she's speaking on the world stage or something. And I remember thinking, I was mortified, going, I never said I was speaking to anyone. I was just attending as I'm such a fraud. Now I hate
now
these
there's
interviews.
false messages out there.
There's false messages about me and all this expectation. And a woman nearby heard the conversation, and she said, oh, I've got a panel of speakers this afternoon on stage. Would you like to attend and be one of the panels at this UN conference? And I was like, no, my instinct was like, no way, I'm not getting up there.
Why
she goes,
me?
I'll give you 3 minutes, I'll make an honest woman out of you, Helen.
Ah,
we'll get you up on stage. And so there I am up on stage, and this young woman's sitting next to me, and I'm like, there's photos where these journalists have taken photos. I've literally gone to this hotel, grabbed a receipt, and I'm writing what I'm going to say on the back of this thing. So I'm on stage in front of hundreds of people. This is what my speech is going to be.
It's classic.
The key messages or whatever.
Yep.
And I turned to this young girl and I said, so like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And she said, I work for Google and for Apple. I design all the emojis, like I invented it or something. She was telling me some story. And, I was like, are you kidding? And she goes, and she's this huge entrepreneur, only young, and she was just incredible. And then we hop off stage, and she turns to me and she says, Helen, is it okay if I add you on LinkedIn? Because I think you're pretty amazing. And I was like, me?
That's awesome.
Really?
That is awesome.
She was an inspiration herself. So just being in that, it was such a buzz to be surrounded by like-minded people. But my message there, I think, was even though I dreaded getting up on stage and taking those 2 or 3 minutes or whatever it was, that then allowed, because someone out in the crowd saw that.
Yep.
He then approaches me with a card and he goes, Helen, we're in Geneva for the World Health Assembly. Can you come to the UN SDG Health Summit and speak on non-communicable diseases in 3 African countries? And I was like, yeah, wow.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
I'm just a nurse from like the Gold Coast, right? So then there I am a few months later in Geneva.
Yeah, I remember that very well.
Oh.
And how awesome was that? The people you're mixing with
Such a buzz.
Learning from.
Oh, amazing people. And you're just in this networking, all of that. But you're suddenly... Again,
and everyone in that room
yourself.
Every single person in that room will be feeling that they're just an ordinary person as well, but everyone's just doing extraordinary
combined,
things.
Yeah. No, it was awesome.
Yeah, so fantastic. And you are an amazing keynote speaker, let me just say. You are. And anyone who's listening to this, I'm sure all the guys in the back here are going, yes, absolutely. You are fascinating. You are able to hold attention. The way you come across is oozing in confidence but not ego. It's a beautiful, it's a soft confidence, which is really lovely.
Oh, thank you.
And,
I think one of my bigger moments, I think COVID put a stop to a lot of that. Mind you, I can speak out on, conferences are all via Zoom now.
Yeah.
But one of my special moments was being invited back up to Darwin. So being able to go to a place where you grew up, be their keynote for a conference for Leave No Women Behind. And
how fantastic.
While I was there, it was so special. There was like 450 people in the room. Yep. COVID quite hadn't hit. I had people hugging each other, and now looking back, I'm like, oh man, how was that not a super spreading event? Yeah. I don't know. But it was only the very beginning. It hadn't actually hit the shores yet. But then while I was there, I get invited to Groote Island. And
Oh, how amazing. Talk about a cycle, complete circle.
going back to my primary school and being invited, and they were like, Helen, we want, and it was just the golf club,
Fantastic.
right? It wasn't anything
Yeah.
special, but they had this beautiful group of women. They reached out to me and said, Helen, how much do you cost? And I said, oh, mate, come on. Like, I go, depends. If it's the mine, I want 10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
And
who's
they were
paying
like,
the bill?
no, love, we're just down at, a couple of us girls are down at the golf club. You know, we're going to put a raffle on to get your airfare here. And
how
I was
magic.
like, oh, bless. There's no way I'm charging you. But it just meant so much for someone who, I don't know, probably all my life never thought I was capable of much, I suppose, to be then recognised by my own people, my own community that I grew up with.
It's fantastic.
And those people out there that remember my parents and stuff, and you're like, wow, this is really surreal. Like,
How lovely.
I was so special.
It must have felt like a real homecoming for you too. Like, do you have a strong sense of place with Groote Island?
Yeah, I do. I do. I still call it home. No. And then people often ask, what's next? What are you doing next, Helen?
So, Helen, what is next?
What is next?
What is next? I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to be grand and extraordinary and open up many more doors for you.
Well, it's not
Which would be natural progression, really.
Listen, it's not going to be agency nursing forever. But to be honest, I think that driving need, not a need, it's not proving anything. Being told, I suppose, back then that I wouldn't make it as a nurse or a paramedic. Why? Because I couldn't write essays at uni, right? So then I went on and did a master's, and I've done an honours research thing now. And my PhD. So I think PhD, baby, book. Those are my three. Not necessarily in that order, but the book I keep talking about because there's so many times that I can sit next to someone on a plane and have a chat, and they're like, oh, you should write a book.
Absolutely.
Patients in the hospital like, you need to write a book.
You definitely, there's a book in you. There's at least one. There's several. It's going to be a big fat one.
Yeah.
If you do chapters on every single experience you've had, it's going to be massive.
I don't know where I'm going to
start.
Volume. Yeah. But I think it might be even cathartic, all the things that I've seen, and people ask, how do you cope with all of that? All that stuff that you've seen, because it is a lot of heavy...
How do you not come down with, post-traumatic stress?
Yeah, and that's probably the area that I'll be looking in with my PhD, because we didn't get a lot of support coming back from disaster zones. So...
and that's amazing, isn't it? Because you're volunteering, you're exposing yourself, and there's this very little support when you get home.
No, and so we do it quite well now with... the military, but with our DMAT, so disaster medical assistant teams, our doctors, nurses, paramedics that go out, we don't kind of look after them very well on the way back home, or even 5 years after the fact.
Exactly.
Like 9/11 kind of happened, but 20 years on, people still have residual effects from that.
Absolutely.
So, how can we shape policy or something a little bit better, or our learnings, teachings, how do we educate? Yeah. So,
well, that would be a fascinating
come.
PhD, and the outcomes for that will just be enormous.
I hope so.
Yeah.
We'll see. If not,
absolutely.
I'll just put it in a book, whatever. But listen, I can only try. I can only try.
We're advocating here now.
Yeah.
It's a really strong cause.
Yeah. Well, I'm ducking off now after this. I'm ducking off to Melbourne. There's an awards thing on for journalists. I think there's a Quills Award down in Melbourne.
Fantastic.
I'll be attending with DART, which is an organisation, and they look at psychosocial needs or PTSD for journalists, like the ones in Ukraine at the moment that are in the war zones, and they're very big on, caring for their
journalists and people who come back.
Exactly, because they get PTSD as well.
Absolutely.
Things that we normally, even having conversations like this, you could walk away and be like, wow, we had this chat today. Even the boys in the room, they're just, wow, that was a bit heavy. Everyone takes away something. And that's, even volunteering. You often, the guys down in the Mud Army down in Lismore and those areas at the moment.
Absolutely.
I spoke to some people today, and they've sat down and listened to some stories, and they feel quite...
They take it, they carry it, don't you?
You do.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's hard not to, we're all human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going down there, you're helping and representing DART? And being
I'm invited at their table.
Oh,
so I feel very
fantastic.
special. Hopefully I'll get to meet the team there, and I'm sure and hear more about the amazing work that they do.
What a beautiful combination to link into a
I
PhD
think,
and the support you'll have.
Yeah, all of that. So who knows? Watch this space.
So important. Watch this space, I reckon.
And again, these are just things that just evolve and happen, and
another door opens.
Another
as we
door
say.
opens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's exciting.
Oh, Helen, I could talk for hours with you, as we have in the past and we will continue to do in the future. You are an absolute inspiration for so many listeners. They're going to be sitting here listening or watching on YouTube, I hope, and they're just going to be inspired, moved, absolutely moved and inspired to get up and do something even better today. Then improve on themselves from yesterday.
I hope at least
contribute more, volunteer.
I hope at least one person out there goes, oh yeah, if she can do it, I can do it.
Absolutely, there'll be at least one person. And also not to take on what other people think of you. Yeah. So other people have their own limiting beliefs. Their map is their own map. It's not the same territory as what you have. So just believe in yourself and gather that momentum and that self-belief to keep driving.
Yeah, absolutely. And mentor your young ones. Doesn't matter where you're working.
Absolutely.
That's a whole other chapter, is nurses eating their young, but even women in general, boosting each other up. We are super women as we're tackling, if it's not motherhood and uni and this, that, the other, it was
extraordinary.
Entrepreneurs, but we sit there and we comment on the most stupidest things. Like, we really bring each other down. We need to boost people up.
And that's what this is all about. Wild and Fearless is all about women supporting women championing each other. Who knows how many people we're going to touch through these podcasts and
good
the
on
YouTube
you.
shows.
Good on you.
Good on us. It takes all of us to do it. And it's about inspiring other women and inspiring young girls, women, anyone who listens. Like, we're inspiring so many people that we don't even really realising. But that's the essence of Wild and Fearless. It's like, we are ordinary women doing extraordinary things, and we don't see it as being extraordinary.
No.
You don't see anything that you've done as being extraordinary, but it is so inspiring. And it doesn't matter where you grow up, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're choosing to serve others, that fulfilment's going to come in, and the doors will open. You don't have to be paid to be recognised.
No.
Yeah.
No,
it comes in value.
It comes in other ways, and I think feeling valued, it comes to you in other ways. And I think if anyone wants to reach out at all, I do have a website, www.helenzahos.com. I've also, just on social media, if you reach out, I'm on all the socials as well with the same name. So, any questions, anything, if I can guide you in any way, reach out.
Yeah. Fantastic keynote speaker. Fantastic. And watch this space. I can see you now being a really strong advocate for helping people who go and volunteer and serve, who come home and don't get any support.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can see that being a really strong campaign of yours for the future. Yeah,
I'm building on it 100%. Now.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's great. Helen, it's always a pleasure sitting here talking to you. It's unusual sitting around clear water rather than wine. But it's been an absolute pleasure, and all the best with your PhD and having a family and also writing that book. I'm looking forward to all of the above.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Hey legends, I hope you're really enjoying the show. We love bringing it to you. Please support us, subscribe, like all our social media platforms, and please reach out and donate through buymeacoffee.com/wild and fearless. We really appreciate it. Have an awesome day.